There is a second VA check that thousands of veterans are owed right now, every single month. On top of the compensation they already receive, it is not a higher rating. It is not a one-time payout. It is a separate recurring payment that stacks on top of your regular check. And most of the veterans who qualify will never see a dime of it. Not because they did something wrong, because the VA does not volunteer it. It hides behind a name most veterans have never heard, and you have to claim it by name. You can be sitting at 100%, the highest rating there is, and still be leaving this money on the table every month. So here is what I am going to show you today. What this second check actually is, and why it is completely separate from your rating. The 4 situations that qualify you for it. The one version of it that veterans miss more than any other, because it involves something most men would not bring up in a million years. How these payments can stack, so some of you are owed more than one. And exactly how to claim it for free without paying anyone a cut. Stay with me for that overlooked one, because if you only act on one thing from this video, that is probably the one that puts the most money back in your pocket. My name is Roy Calloway. I am not a salesman, and I am not selling you anything. For 15 years, I sat inside the VA as a claims rater. I was the person on the other side of your file. I have seen exactly which money gets paid and which money quietly stays in the building, and that is why I make these videos. So let me start with the idea that unlocks everything else. This second check is called Special Monthly Compensation, SMC. And here's the part that trips everyone up. SMC is not a rating. It has nothing to do with your percentage moving from 90 to 100. It is a separate kind of payment for specific serious situations paid on top of your regular compensation. Your rating and this benefit are 2 different pots of money. That single misunderstanding is why so many veterans never even look. They think, I am already at 100. There's nothing above that. And they are wrong. There's a whole layer above it. Most veterans never climb to it because nobody ever told them the ladder was there. Now, you might be wondering, if this is real, why would the VA not just tell me? Everyone else making these videos has to guess at that answer. I do not have to guess. I was in the room. Here is the honest answer. A rater's performance is measured in production, files per day. There's a rule that says if your file shows you qualify for SMC, the rater is supposed to grant it without you asking. That is the actual rule. But catching it means reading the doctor's notes line by line. And a rater who is behind on his numbers does not read line by line. He sees 100%, he signs it, and he moves on. He is not evil, he is rushed, but his hurry becomes your missing check. Nobody in that building is paid to call you and say, sir, I think you are owed more. That person does not exist. I know because I would have been that person, so who qualifies? Let me walk you through it in plain English. No code letters, no jargon. The first situation is the loss, or the loss of use of certain parts of the body. A hand, a foot, your eyesight, your hearing. And pay close attention to the phrase, loss of use. You do not have to lose the limb. Think about the veteran whose hand is still at the end of his arm, but the nerve damage means it cannot grip a cup, cannot button a shirt, still attached, but it does not work. In the eyes of this benefit, that can count the same as a hand that is gone. If your condition has stolen the use of something, do not rule yourself out just because the part is still there. Now here is the most overlooked one of them all, the one I told you to wait for. And I'm going to say it plainly because it is real money you earned, and embarrassment is the only thing standing between a lot of men and this check. One of the losses that qualifies is the loss of use of a reproductive organ. In plain terms, that very often means erectile dysfunction. And here is why that matters to so many of you. A huge number of veterans have this problem not on its own, but as a side effect. A side effect of the medications you take for service-connected conditions, pain medications, blood pressure medications, mental health medications, when your service-connected condition, or the treatment for it, causes this problem, that qualifies. It is an add-on payment on top of everything else you receive. When I was inside, this almost never got claimed, and it was not because veterans did not have the problem. The evidence was sitting right there in the treatment records I was reading. It was because no man wants to write that sentence on a government form, so they stay silent. And that silence has cost veterans an enormous amount of money. I am telling you, without any awkwardness, this is a recognized, compensable loss. Do not let embarrassment talk you out of a check you earned. The next situation is being housebound. If your service-connected conditions have shrunk your world down to your house, the VA recognizes that and pays extra for it. A lot of older veterans slide into this slowly over years and never realize the system owes them for it. And the highest levels of this benefit come from needing aid and attendance. That means your service connected conditions have reached the point where you need the regular help of another person for the basics of daily life: bathing, dressing, eating, moving through your own house safely. I want to say something directly to the spouses and the grown children watching this, because you usually see it before the veteran will admit it. If you are helping your husband get dressed in the morning, if you are cutting your father's food, if you are managing his medications because he cannot keep them straight anymore. That daily help has a name in this system, and it can mean a significantly larger check. You are not complaining by looking into this. You are making sure the man you care for gets what he earned. Pride keeps a lot of veterans from raising their hand here. Sometimes it takes the person standing beside them to raise it for them. Now, here is something most veterans do not know, and it can multiply what you are owed. These payments can stack. The add-on for one qualifying loss does not necessarily cancel another. A veteran with more than one qualifying situation can, in the right circumstances, collect more than one of these payments at the same time. This is exactly the kind of detail the system will never walk over and explain to you. And it is exactly the kind of thing I used to catch at the Raiders' desk when I had the time to read carefully. And understand, the higher levels of this are not pocket change. At the bottom of the ladder, it is a smaller add-on every month. In the middle, where aid and attendance lives, it is hundreds more per month. At the very top, for the most severely disabled veterans, this benefit runs several times larger than the regular 100% rate. Stack a qualifying loss or two together, and the difference between the veteran who claimed it and the identical veteran who never knew can be thousands of dollars a year, year after year, for the rest of his life. And that loss is completely silent, because the check that never grew is a check you never see, so you never miss it and you never go looking. Let me put a real face on this. Picture a veteran I will call Earl. Earl is rated 100%. As far as he is concerned, he hit the ceiling years ago. There is nothing more the VA could possibly owe him. Everyone told him so. What Earl never mentioned to anyone, because who would, is that the medications he has taken for a decade left him with a problem he quietly lives with and never discusses. He had no idea it was connected to anything. He certainly never imagined it was worth money. And his file made it to a desk like mine. The evidence was in his treatment records. A careful raider would have caught it. A rushed one did not. When someone finally walked Earl through special monthly compensation, and he claimed it by name, an extra payment landed on top of his 100% check, every single month. With back pay for the years, the evidence had been sitting in his file. Nothing about Earl changed. The only thing that changed is that somebody finally told him this layer existed, and that there was no shame in claiming it. Most veterans never get that somebody. Today, I am yours. So here is exactly what to do with this. First, understand that your rating and this benefit are two different things. 100% does not close the door, it just means you look one level up. Second, go down the list I gave you honestly. Loss of use. The medication side effect nobody talks about. Housebound, needing another person's help to get through the day. If even one of those touched a nerve, you have a reason to look. Third, when you file, claim special monthly compensation by name and connect it to your service-connected conditions. For aid and attendance, there is one form your doctor fills out. VA Form 212680. Write that down. It is 4 pages, and it asks simple questions. Can he dress himself? Can he bathe himself? Your doctor answers honestly, and that form does the heavy lifting. And fourth, do not do this alone. Which brings me to the most important part. Wherever there is money owed to veterans, someone shows up trying to take a cut of it. So let me be clear. You never have to pay anyone a fee or a percentage of your back pay to claim this. There are free accredited veteran service officers in your county whose entire job is to catch exactly this kind of missed money. And on this particular benefit, that free help earns its keep. A good service officer will ask the uncomfortable questions you would never volunteer without a flicker of judgment, because they have heard it all 1,000 times. If anyone offers to recover this money for a slice of your check, hang up. The people who do this best do it for free. So let me bring it all together. There is an entire layer of compensation sitting above your rating. It is called special monthly compensation. It exists for serious losses, for the medication side effect men never mention, for being housebound, and for needing another person's help to get through the day. I spent 15 years watching careful files get this money and rushed files miss it. The veterans who collect it are not luckier than you. They found out it existed and they claimed it by name. Now you know it exists too. For a veteran on a fixed income, a few hundred extra dollars a month is not small. Over a year, it is thousands. Over a retirement, it is tens of thousands of dollars. It is not a handout. It is not a loophole. It is money the law already says you are owed, sitting in a part of the system almost nobody has ever shown. The only question is whether you claim it. If this video opened your eyes, do one thing for me. Share it with a veteran you know, especially an older one at a high rating who assumes there's nothing more the VA could owe him. He may be sitting on a second check he has never heard of. The VA is not going to bring it up. You can. I'm Roy Calloway. Know what you're owed before you file. Subscribe, turn on the bell so the next one finds you, and I will see you in the next video.